So I want to introduce Judy Ryan. Judy is a lifelong friend of mine and a mentor to me, and also my first health coaching client. So Judy is the CEO of LifeWorks Systems. LifeWorks Systems helps organizations become more collaborative, more cooperative. She works specifically with leaders to help them engage better with their employees so that they can be more open, understanding, honest, and seeking excellence in their company. And I actually got to benefit in my past career from Judy's work. And she's probably the reason why I'm doing my work now to be a health coach and help women be their best selves. So, Judy.
Thank you, Alyssa.
So Judy, let's talk about your health journey. So I want to know, before we started working together, where were you? What were you feeling and what were you experiencing physically?
Well, first of all, I'm 61 years old. So I think I struggle against, well, you're getting older, you should expect things, because I don't really believe that. I believe that if something is showing up, it's probably because there's been a long time that I haven't known how to stay strong. So I was having more and more health problems within the last year. I had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, high cholesterol. Um, I was not absorbing vitamin D. um, I was having a couple of really significant problems that felt really scary to me, which were I was having a lot of balance problems, and I was having an excessive blinking problem. And so that I just felt like that might have something to do with my brain. I didn't know what it was, but it was very concerning to me. So I think those are the major things. And then I've also had, I guess I've had high blood pressure for a huge long period of my life. And I've also had a lot of in throughout my life, I've had a lot of anxiety and depression at different points in my life. Haven't had that so much in the last year, but I've had some. I've had some, mostly anxiety. So that was all going on when I started with you.
Yeah. And how is that for you emotionally?
It does make one feel like they're falling apart. And I'm the kind of person that wants to live a long life. I want to be potent in my life. I want to make a difference. I'm also kind of overly focused on health because my mom died when she was even younger than me. She died at 58. And she died of diabetes. She was a smoker though, and she was also quite overweight. Oh, that's the other thing. I was more overweight when I started with you, right before I started with you, than I'd ever been in my whole life. So I was about 65 pounds overweight, and I've lost about 35 pounds of those. So I got a ways to go still, but that's also, I would consider that a health issue.
Yeah, of course. So we've been working together since May. It's now September. And what have you noticed? What's been different about your health?
I am super excited about what's been happening because I get my blood work done about every 3 to 6 months. And I asked my doctor to wait till after I had been on these, on your protocols, not only nutrition, but also diet and just holistic. And so I wanted to give it as best of a shot as I could, and then have my blood work drawn to see if there are any big differences. And so I know that 3 months seems like a very small window. So I was trying not to get my hopes up. But when I got my blood work back last week, I had reversed my diabetes, which is really exciting because I know that's what caused my mom to die. My liver was in the normal range, which I had been registering a fatty liver issue. I was absorbing more vitamin D. Trying to think of what else. I mean, there were some other things in there. I also realized that I was low on magnesium, which you and I have been working on and are continuing to improve. And I still have high cholesterol, but we're working on that as well. So lots of things are gone. The biggest thing that I'm excited about also is that I was on 5 prescription medications and I'm on 1 right now. And that feels really good because you've taught me about all the toxicity of those chemicals and also what it takes away from my body as far as my nutrients. And then just recently we started working on gut health more deeply than we had been. because I think you helped me determine that that's probably why I've struggled with absorption and even maybe the brain issues, the blinking and everything. Oh, the other thing is by taking one of the major components of the minerals and vitamins, which is essential fatty acids, the blinking problem is going away. And even right now, like I don't have it right now. And normally if I have any stressors at all, it'll just show up in an extreme way. And I don't feel it. So so that was like an incredible thing, because that was a really big deal. I was starting a television program. I do a lot of public speaking and meetings with people on Zoom, and to be blinking all the time, it just is pretty awful.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So a lot
So
of good
you,
things.
so you come a long way. So what habits that you've implemented that you think are really helpful and that you're going to carry with you into the future?
Well, I had already decided in December before we started working together that I wanted to have filtered water. And but I've been a chronic under drinker of water. And so now I have a little app on my phone, and I make sure that I drink at least around 90 ounces of water a day, which is new for me. So that's a new habit I feel really good about. I think it's helping me with a lot of things, just even drinking healthy water, eating everything organic. I was a little bit fell off the wagon a little bit around dairy, but I'm not eating dairy again, and I wasn't for a while. I was telling my friends that dairy is like a gateway drug for me, so it's really been hard for me to stay off of dairy. But I'm not taking any of it in. I'm also not taking in any gluten. I'm not eating processed oils, which I learned have oxygenation in them, which are
Yeah,
problematic.
oxidation. Yeah.
I think that I've lost extra weight. So some of that 35 pounds came after we started, 10 of it, I think, or maybe a little bit of it came back, but 10 of it came off after we started. And I think you said it was because, tell me if I got this right, because we hold toxins in is it our fat cells?
Yep. Yeah. So toxicity is stored in our fat cells, and it's
Yeah.
hard for that, for the toxicity to be released, because if it is, then our body just goes crazy, because we don't want all that toxicity. Our body's very smart. Our fat cells hang on to it for us, so we don't have to get sick and suffer.
Okay.
So it can be
Okay. So
very hard to lose weight.
well, yeah, and that's what, because one of the things because I didn't do anything else really significantly different other than making sure everything's organic and
Mhm.
more, even less processed food, because I was already down to pretty much not a lot of processed food, but even going further with that, but also taking well-sourced algae like
Mhm.
spirulina and chlorella. So every night I take 30 chlorella tablets, which are a detoxification protocol.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things I haven't gotten to it yet the way I need to, but I want to start eating more fermented foods, because that's also, it's detoxifying, right, Alyssa?
Yes. Yeah. So, well, it helps your good gut bacteria to grow and thrive. And your gut is your first detoxification organ. Your liver is your second, but you detox through good gut bacteria, lots of fiber. Um, so it's important to have healthy gut bacteria.
That's the other thing. I like consciously commit to eating 2 fruits a day and 4 vegetables a day, which it sounds like it should be easy to do, but I was always quicker to grab something like a Kind bar, or only grab nuts instead of grabbing an apple, and there's still a part of me that's a little emotionally addicted to those things. So sometimes I look at myself and go, oh, I've only eaten 1 vegetable today, and I've got to get those other 3 in. So that's an ongoing change process for me, but I think it is forcing me to have more healthy, nutritious food and more fiber. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, clearly it's helping, because you're
Yeah.
off of 4 medications and you reverse your diabetes and
Yeah.
blood sugar.
Yeah. And I feel pretty strong a lot of the
Yeah.
time, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about what's just going to keep getting better and better and better.
That's
So
awesome.
so I listened to the gut health thing that you sent me, and it made me realize that there were times in my life where, like I was mentioning, that I was on antibiotics intravenously for 3 separate weeks when I was pregnant with my first child. And I went through so much depression and anxiety after that birth. And I never ever would have dreamed it was gut health. So I'm really starting to learn things that I never knew that could have been even the cause of my anxiety and depression at times in my life that were related to nutrition and um, toxicity and gut health and all of those things. So I kind of feel like even at 61, I'm reborn, and so hopefully I want to live to be 120 and be healthy.
Yeah, me too.
Picking it up.
So Judy, what would you tell somebody who's going through a lot of health issues, but is on the fence about getting a health coach?
I would tell them, don't assume you already know it all, because I thought I've studied a lot of things. I've been, like I said, very focused on health because of my mom, but there were still a lot of things I didn't know. And also, I think I would tell them it's important to work with somebody, because I can know better, but it helps for me to have somebody I can talk to about it, and that they will help me through little bumps so that they don't become big bumps or big barriers. I would also tell them, don't work with a health coach that is not like Alyssa. So I would say work with Alyssa. And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of talk about holding people accountable. And the reality, and I teach this in my work, is you really can't hold anyone else accountable. You can only create conditions in which they're more accountable. And what I've really experienced with Alyssa that I didn't know that I would experience with you is that by not pressuring me or shaming me, I want to be more accountable, and I'm choosing to be more accountable. And it's not like I'm perfect at it every day, but I don't feel that added pressure of shaming or, I don't know, stress of thinking I'm wrong if I don't do it a certain way. And as a result, I'm following most of the rules all of the time. The one rule that I still struggle with is I'm inconsistent about first thing in the morning going outside and walking. I have been walking every day, but sometimes I'm a little rebellious about doing it like right out the chute. I don't know why that still is, but I don't even feel like you're going to ever judge me. So it gives me the courage to do it when I do it, you know. And I don't think people realize how easy it is to shame somebody and to pressure somebody. And I have not felt that from you. And I feel like I'm being the person I want to be in this health change process because of your copious support. You're always responding to questions I have. You always do research on everything and bring me real solid information, which I think we all need. And so that's what I would say to them is have somebody that you really like working with and that you trust, and then see how you're feeling through the process, because I'm super happy that I've done this and that I'm continuing to do this.
Yeah. And you mentioned before that sometimes it's hard for you to do everything that, I suggest that you do, or like with dairy, you fall off the wagon. That is so normal. That is part of the process, right? We're not going to do things perfect out the gate. Sometimes making health changes can be a lot because we're so used to doing things a certain way.
Yeah.
So, just having the courage to even try.
And I feel good that I have the courage to even tell you. Like,
yeah.
I fell off the wagon. Like when I first started and you said, try walking 10 minutes a day. And then you're like, just walk 1 minute a day. Well, I can deal with that a lot better. And even that, I still do a little rebellion, but then I find myself walking 2 or 3 times a day. And sometimes I'm walking 40 minutes or 30 minutes now. And I'm like, how did that happen? So even if I rebel, you're still in my head. We'll just do 1 minute. And then I go out and say, I'll do 1 minute. And if it turns into more, it turns into more. And then it's turning into more.
That's cool.
So that's kind of fun.
That makes me happy to hear. Well, cool. So I think anything else you want to add, of maybe one final thing?
I think one thing that just popped in my head from what we were just talking about walking, when I was my sickest, I felt ashamed that I felt old and sort of feeble. Like I would walk with one of my friends and I would be huffing and puffing and feeling like I couldn't really function. And it was miserable. And I think that part of the reason that I'm still overcoming that is I'm not that person right now. I don't really even feel like that person, but it's still in my head that what if I'm that person that can barely make it back to my house? And I think a lot of people that are in bad health, they've already kind of solidified that there's something wrong and that they're not safe to go back to living a fuller life. And I can feel that in me. I feel like even when I walked 45 minutes the other day, like, oh, that didn't even feel hard at all. But it's still in my head how bad it felt when I was at my worst. I mean, it's really debilitating when you're really sick, like having the diabetes and being so overweight. I felt like I could not be a regular functioning person. So I would say don't lose hope that you won't get back to, I think I'm actually back to where I used to be, but my mind is still catching up to it. So,
Mm.
so I'm hoping that maybe if we do another interview 6 months from now, I'll be weight training or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a hard road. And I guess one last thing would be don't assume that you're going to get worse in your life just because you're getting older.
Yeah.
Start wherever you are and see what's possible.
Yeah. That's huge. I don't think age has anything to do really with health. And I mean, I was miserable when I was 31 years old. Like I was having problems that 50, 60-year-olds have,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I would say age has something to do with it, but
Yeah, it does.
in a way, age forces you to look. It's like an alcoholic that abuses alcohol and then they hit bottom eventually. I do think getting older, you've accumulated more and more harm to your body. So in
That's
that
true.
sense, there's some of that. But the fact that we can undo it is,
Yes, at any age.
yeah, and that's what I think people need to really remember. I know I am living proof of that right now.
Yeah,
So.
that's so cool. Thanks, Judy.
You're welcome.